and welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Chris Kelso, here to finish up the show and have a great time. And last up, we've got Walter Fowler. Walter, how you doing?
How's it going, Chris?
Very well. Yourself?
I'm doing well.
For all those first-time listeners, let us know who you are and what you do, if you don't mind.
I'm Communications Director for Sprint Business and Enterprise Solutions.
That is awesome. Now, one of the things I know we're going to be speaking about today, which is something that is very close to my heart, is a new survey you did in regards to the views that Americans have on constant connectivity. Pretty interesting stuff right there, because let me tell you, I think everyone out there is always online. You know, we've gone to the old days 20 years ago when you actually go out to an appointment and you tell somebody, I'll be back in 2 hours. You come back in 2 hours and have messages to, I'm going out, and you're always available. It's the now time frame. I mean, what all went on? I mean, what caused y'all to have that to make that survey? More importantly, what are some of the things that came out from that?
Well, you know, there's been a lot of talk about the changing nature of work, so we wanted to see what these new technologies actually meant to people and how they affected the way in which work is done. And we did find some pretty interesting responses in that they were overwhelmingly in support of new technologies in the workplace and had a very positive view on how those technologies impact their daily life and their daily operation in regard to work. So a lot of people, and you might find this contrary, I know that I enjoy the 2 or 3 hour time frame that I'll have on a flight where there's no interaction on my cell phone. But a lot of people do actually enjoy being connected, and it allows them to it reduces stress in relation to their position. What we also found was that 44% of these solutions made their work more efficient, and that there was overwhelming opportunity, particularly with blue-collar workers who were eager to make mobile communication technologies an even larger part of their work life. So we look forward to continuing to serve them better and better. I think one of the best examples that I can give you, blue-collar-wise, is just this morning, Sprint's going to be making an announcement with the LAPD, where we combined key business solutions in building the Connected Officer program that they're going to be launching, including mobile device management, so the devices that they carry on themselves, connected vehicles, coupled with mobile access to run field applications. And I think the result will ultimately be a more responsive service and one that's better equipped to handle incident management.
You know, and I would absolutely agree. You know, if you look at where we stand today, we're in the now environment, right? And you're mentioning, you know, I do enjoy having that time in which I can take 2 or 3 hours off and not have to take a phone call. But I'm one of those individuals that my business and my livelihood depends on being able to be reached and to respond back immediately, being in the real estate mortgage industry. And I feel a lot of people, you know, as you mentioned, we're seeing things that take place live. We're seeing how reporting is being changed. We're seeing how police activities, as you mentioned, with what Sprint's doing, is changing. We're seeing how real-time activity in regards to drilling rigs, et cetera, is all being improved, you know, from weather to technology to the way we live our normal day-to-day lives. And you know, I think there's something to be said on both sides of things. I think you have to take some time off, you know, to take away from that sometimes, to appreciate the little things in life. But I also think that being a part of this now society and being involved in constant communication also allows us to really enhance our productivity.
It is. That's certainly the case for today's businesses. I think one of the most interesting things is I think we focus on the ability to stay connected as workers, but not also think about the impact that connected devices and the Internet of Things can have on our work-life balance and our work in general. If you look at just the energy sector and connected solutions that drive your home electricity, if you're able to connect those devices so that they report their usage and someone doesn't have to actually drive around, you don't have to have a fleet of vehicles and a fleet of drivers to actually go from house to house and check the meters. Smart meters have kind of made it a lot easier for companies and a lot easier on those drivers so they don't have to cover quite as much ground. It can be a little bit more efficient. So I think the Internet and the Internet of Things in general has made operations across multiple aspects of business much easier and much more accessible.
I would absolutely agree. I mean, I tell everybody all the time, in the palm of my hand nowadays, I carry a computer that is 10,000 times more powerful than what I could buy in 1998, for example. And it's amazing. You can sit here, you can be in constant contact, you can work off your phone. As you mentioned, smart meters is a perfect example. The old days of individuals sort of driving around and everybody sort of get, who's that guy looking at my yard? Nowadays, it doesn't happen anymore. I mean, it's communicated. It's done on the smart meters. It uploads to a system and pops out, and you can take a look and see where your real-time usage is. I mean, that takes place across all economies, all markets, all places nowadays. And Sprint, by the way, has been a leader in always evolving communication. I mean, if you look at where that is and what's been going on, they've always been very good at making sure that happens.
Absolutely. And it goes without saying that this always connected society that we live in is somewhat of a double-edged sword, and that there's a responsibility not only on the workers and the users, but also certainly the carriers and the companies that produce these devices to make sure that they can be used safely. One aspect where we've been very diligent in following up is connected vehicles. I think obviously there's a time and place to be connected, and when you're behind the wheel is not one of those times. And so it's a fine balance between, making sure that you're always up to date on the information that you need as an employee, as a father, as a husband, as a mother, daughter, but also, keeping your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road.
So you're going on the record saying no texting and driving, basically.
Exactly. But it's also up to us to come up with ways that people can, that's a need that doesn't go away. I think as much common sense as most people have, that draw to always check your phone or know what's happening when you hear that phone buzz is always there. And so there are many innovative ways that we can come up with to help people safely stay connected behind the wheel. And we've gone down that avenue with multiple auto manufacturers, and it's just an important part of how we have to think about that aspect of it as well.
Now, I know you've gone through a lot of changes. I mean, if you look at where technology is, you've gone from the normal wireless, then we've gone to 3G, then 4G, then I don't know, what everyone's doing out there. What's the next iteration of technology from Sprint's perspective?
Well, I focus on solutions that are focused on enterprise and business. And the funny thing is, the race for speed on the consumer side is not necessarily something that's matched on the business side. Some of the things that we've already discussed, connected officers, connected vehicles, aren't necessarily, even smart meters, aren't things that need even 3G speed to operate. So these things change the way businesses operate, but they can operate on 2G speed. We've got a great solution that is essentially a wirelessly connected vending machine. And again, when you think about that industry, there's a driver who has to go around from spot to spot carrying everything because you never know what's out. But if you have machines spread out across an area that driver has to address, and that machine knows what's low, you could have, that's the difference between a huge box truck, needed to service an area, and maybe a small van that gets much better gas mileage and can be operated in a very different manner, able to go down different streets, park in different places, and doesn't have to carry as much stuff. And so, you find these small ways to make businesses more efficient. But again, 2G speed, for the most part, it's been an important part of how we service our business clients.
I would absolutely agree. Well, we are coming up against the end of this show. How can we reach you if you don't mind?
The best way is at sprint.com/M2M. You can find out a lot about the M2M solutions that we've discussed here today. And also at sprint.com, our enterprise solutions can be found on that page.
Walter, thank you very much. Again, that's Walter Fowler. He is with Sprint. Great information, great communication, great ideas of what's going on. I am Chris Kelso, filling in for Kevin Price as host of The Price of Business. We really enjoyed this, but stay tuned till tomorrow and the next day. We look forward to having you back soon. Until next time, we are out.